Well, Tennessee, I don't know if you knew this, is home to the oldest cave art identified in North America. Again, you probably never even heard about it. A professor at the University of Tennessee led the charge that uncovered hundreds of prehistoric images in the Cumberland Plateau. As Alex Dennis reports now, most of the locations of this ancient art are kept secret to protect them, but there is one you can see up close in Clarksville.
What if ancient humans and dinosaurs actually coexisted? Well, that's exactly what some newly discovered cave paintings in Siberia seem to suggest, and it could change everything we know about history. Join me in today's video as we dive into the fascinating discovery that could forever rewrite history books. 1. Distinctive sauropod-like shapes.
Sealed shut for tens of thousands of years. This place was discovered by cavers in 1994.
Some ancient cave paintings in Siberia look like they show dinosaurs hanging out with humans. Yep, sauropod-like shapes, long necks, massive bodies, and tails, kind of like a brachiosaurus. Some people are convinced early humans either saw these creatures or found their fossils and drew them. But hold on, experts aren't buying it. They say these dinosaur shapes are more likely other animals or mythical creatures. Over time, cracks and natural formations may have messed with the original art, making it look more like a dinosaur. Phil Center, a researcher, even found that some of these images are just combinations of different carvings or drawings. Still, people love to argue about it, but most scientists agree humans and dinosaurs weren't chilling together. Those cave drawings probably show something else entirely. Like and subscribe right now and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. 2. Age mismatch with dinosaur fossils. There's a wild tale floating around that cave paintings in Siberia show humans and dinosaurs throwing down together. But hold your horses, science begs to differ. Dinosaurs kicked the bucket about 65 million years ago, while humans didn't strut onto the scene until around 6 million years ago. That's a whopping 59 million years of no dino-human buddy flicks happening. This theory's so full of holes that it might as well be Swiss cheese. No chance humans were out there sketching T-Rex selfies. These dinosaur sketches are likely just our brains playing tricks on us, or maybe misfired guesses at other critters or funky symbols. Even those petroglyphs by dinosaur tracks in Brazil, they're only a few thousand years old, mere babies compared to dinosaur times. So, when the experts toss this dinosaur-human paint party idea out the window, you better believe they've got good reason. 3. Home to generations of mysterious ancient humans.
This is an issue that I go into in America before. And what first drew me into it was Denisova Cave in Siberia.
In 2010, scientists hit the jackpot in Denisova Cave, Siberia, unearthing a new breed of ancient human, the Denisovans, thanks to some DNA wizardry on a girl's pinky bone.
In Russia, in Denisova Cave, they find a single pinky bone from a little finger. And what they discover is, this isn't a Neanderthal.
But this cave was like a revolving door for these elusive folks, housing not just her, but others, stretching back 170,000 years. Only a bone and a couple of teeth have popped up, yet with some snazzy DNA analysis and dating voodoo, researchers are piecing together this puzzle. They've even found that these Denisovans were more genetically diverse than their Neanderthal neighbors. And talk about a family reunion. Neanderthals and modern humans crashed this cave party too, over various epochs. On the forefront, scientists like Samantha Brown are digging deeper, using new tech to sniff out more Denisovan secrets. The plot thickens as they unravel the mysteries of a species that's still mostly a shadow in our prehistoric past. 4. Depictions of flying creatures. Tucked away in Siberia's Transbaikal region, cave art will blow your mind. We're talking flying creatures that look more like something out of a fantasy flick than prehistoric rock art. These aren't your average birds. These are either legendary flying beings or some super old-school shamanic spirits trying to bridge the human world with some mystical dimension. The Pegtimal petroglyphs, dating back a whopping 1,000 years, showcase scenes that are straight-up wild. Imagine human-like figures with bird features soaring through the stone. Scholars are buzzing, thinking these might be shamanic figures, all about transformation and mystical flights, tapping into spiritual realms. 5. The last of the Siberian unicorns. The Elasmotherium, also dubbed the giant rhinoceros or the Siberian unicorn, was no ordinary beast. Roaming Eurasia during the late Pliocene to the Pleistocene eras, this behemoth thundered across the land from about 2.6 million years ago, with the last of its kind spotted around 29,000 years back. Picture this: as massive as a mammoth, decked out in a shaggy coat and sporting a gigantic horn that would make any unicorn jealous. This critter was the real deal. Standing a towering 2 meters tall and stretching 4.5 meters long, the Elasmotherium tipped the scales at a whopping 4 tons. First tagged by Johann Fischer von Waldheim in 1808, thanks to a lower jaw gifted by Yekaterina Romanovna Vorontsova-Dashkova, it was a marvel at Moscow University's Natural History Museum. Fast forward to 2016, and a skull pops up in Kazakhstan, shaking up the old timelines by proving these giants lumbered around until just 29,000 years ago. 6. Debating the Siberian unicorn's horn and extinction. Can you believe the heated debate around this mythical beast's horn? Some think it's a fairy tale, but others swear it was huge, used to charm mates or scare off rivals, not to mention shoveling snow or digging for grub. Now, evidence? Pretty sketchy, with only a few fossils giving us the gossip on whether this creature was rocking a horn or a bald look. But get this, some bits suggest it was all hairy, like a woolly mammoth's cousin. 7. Chloritolite jewelry. Buried deep in Siberia's Denisova Cave, some archaeologists hit the jackpot with a stash that screams bling from way back. They unearthed this charming bracelet, a green dazzler crafted over 40,000 years ago. Talk about ancient glam. This thing's made from chloritolite and shines like it's fresh out of a luxury store. This piece was made by the Denisovans, cousins to the Neanderthals, and it's not just a pretty face. The tech used to drill a hole in this bracelet was way ahead of its time, like Neolithic level advanced. We're talking high-speed, ultra-precise drilling that the history books hadn't even dreamed of attributing to these old-school craftsmen. Rocking this bracelet wasn't an everyday affair. It was likely the go-to accessory for big-time Paleolithic events. Alongside other rad finds, like sewing needles and bone tools, it's clear the Denisovans weren't just surviving. They were thriving with style and sophistication. 8. MultiLayered Paintings. Siberian cave walls aren't just covered in random old scribbles. They're a pile-up of generations of partying with pigments. Deep in the Trans-Baikal digs, archaeologists stumbled upon these art parties where every new crowd, from way back in the Bronze Age, around 4,000 years ago, left their mark right over the last guys. Each layer is a shout-out to different critters and mystery symbols, slathered in everything from red to ochre. It's like these caves were the VIP lounge for every artsy ancestor, trying to one-up their forebears without ditching the old masterpieces. 9. Ancient DNA unveils the first Neanderthal family. Scientists crashed a Neanderthal family for the first time. A dad and his teenage daughter, along with other close relatives, who lived in Siberian caves about 54,000 years ago. A squad led by the brainiac Nobel Prize winner Svante Pääbo dug up the ancient gossip by extracting DNA from the bones and teeth of 13 Neanderthals. Talk about a family tree excavation. This crew, consisting of 8 adults and 5 kids found at Chagaskaya Cave and 2 more from the cave next door, probably shared cave drawings at the same time, giving us a VIP pass to their family dynamics. They rolled deep, but not diversely, with their tight-knit groups sizing up to 20, mirroring today's endangered species when it comes to genetic variety. Interestingly, while the guys stayed put, the ladies were the social butterflies, flitting between caves, likely hunting for the best mates. 10. Early cave art was abstract. Back in 2018, some brainy folks dug up what's got to be the oldest doodles ever, whipped up by Neanderthals over 64,000 years ago. We're talking way back. The scene is set in Spain's La Pasiega, Maltravieso, and Ardales caves, where these ancient artists tagged their spot with everything from ladder-like lines to hand stencils and jazzed-up stalagmites. So, Alistair W.G. Pike, the big boss of archaeological sciences at the University of Southampton, spills that these hands weren't just slapped anywhere. These Neanderthals were going all in, cramming their signatures into the tightest nooks of the caves, probably playing around with pigments and whatever flicker of light they could get. 11. The legendary unicorn. Let's talk about the legendary unicorn. This mythical animal with a single horn that's been capturing imaginations in China and Eastern Europe for ages. The Chinese call it the qilin, a creature so mysterious it even made its way into Turkish and Mongolian stories. The main things that stand out in all these stories are its massive size and that famous single horn. Think back to this ancient bronze vessel from the Warring States period that shows an animal that really looks like what we'd imagine an elasmotherium to be. A sort of prehistoric unicorn with a massive horn that looks like it means business. 12. Telling stories with human and animal figures. About 45,500 years ago, some artist on Sulawesi Island whipped up a sketch of a Sulawesi warty pig. Talk about old school. This gem, found in Leang Tadongji Cave, takes the prize for the oldest animal pic on record. Not stopping there, Sulawesi also boasts the earliest known hunting scene, clocking in at around 43,900 years old. These guys were ahead of the curve, outpacing those famous French Lascaux caves by a long shot. Speaking of Lascaux, discovered in 1940 thanks to some teens and their dog, those caves are basically a zoo on walls, dating back about 17,000 years. Horses, bulls, and deer, oh my. But it's not all standard fare. One shows a so-called unicorn, looking like it's expecting, and another might be showing a mystical mishap with a man and a bison. 13. Peruvian Cave Art. There's this wild tale about Peruvian cave art in Utcubamba, northern Peru, that's got some folks convinced humans and dinosaurs were besties. Discovered near Yaman, this ancient graffiti features 9 warriors looking like they're about to take down a beast that kinda screams dinosaur vibes. These old-school masterpieces, thought to be thousands of years old, are a hot topic for both dino diehards and history buffs. Back in 2012, Vance Nelson threw these paintings into the spotlight as proof that humans might have been chilling with dinosaurs. The scenes are epic, humans going all out against what some say look like dinosaurs. But chill, the science crew insists these are probably just jazzed-up versions of known beasts or mythical critters, not actual dinosaurs. 14. The Black Dragon Canyon Petroglyph. down in Utah's San Rafael Swell. There's this rock carving called the Black Dragon Canyon Petroglyph that some folks used to swear up and down showed a pterosaur. Back in the 40s, they even chalked it up, trying to prove it was some winged dragon from the days when dinosaurs roamed with humans. But modern techs like DIA stretch and X-ray fluorescence busted that myth wide open. Turns out, this isn't some Jurassic Park relic. It's a mix of everyday scenes with a human holding a snake, some wild bighorn sheep, and a dog. No dinos in sight, my friends. 15. The Aaro Figurines. In 1944, a German guy named Waldemar Julsrud stumbled upon a whopping 32,000 clay figures in Acámbaro, Mexico. These weren't your grandma's garden gnomes either. We're talking wild scenes of humans hanging out with dinosaurs, riding them like they were at a rodeo, and even throwing down in epic battles. But it got juicier. In the 1950s, Charles de Piso came along, playing detective, and declared these bad boys to be grade A phonies. There were no signs of aging on them, and the dirt layers, fresh as a daisy. And just when you thought the drama was over, the 1970s rolled in with a science mic drop. Thermoluminescence tests showed these figurines were fired up just before they were found. Yep, more like props from a 1940s movie set. Despite a few die-hard fans still claiming they were legit, thanks to some outdated tests, science called cut on this scene. Modern fakes, inspired by Dinomania, end of story. 16. Taprom Temple. This carving at Taprom Temple in Cambodia is stirring up some wild debates. Tucked away in a corner, it's got a sketch that looks a heck of a lot like a Stegosaurus, straight out of the late 12th century, courtesy of King Jayavarman VII. But hold your dinos, folks. Most experts are calling bluff on this Jurassic fantasy. They say those dino plates are probably just fancy lotus leaves or some artsy touch-up. And that noggin looks more rhino or boar than ancient lizard. Some are even whispering it might be a cheeky modern prank, maybe by a visitor or a rogue film crew, because it's not as beat up by the weather as the others. Still, it's a crowd puller, feeding tales of humans and dinos hanging out together. But science is clear. Dinosaurs checked out millions of years before humans punched in. 17. Cave and rock art in America. Did you know the treasure trove of ancient graffiti sprawled across North America? Seriously, these rocks tell tales older than your grandma's grandma, from the desert Southwest to the Cumberland Plateau, which spans Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. We're talking about some serious old-school art here, dating back about 7,000 years. Now, if you think this is just some dusty old rocks, think again. These ancient artists were rocking the narrative scene, painting everything from spiritual shapeshifters, transforming from men to birds, to mysterious boxy human figures, mingling with more typical humans, possibly hashing out some drama over textiles. 18. Old figurative artwork found in a cave. Some genius unearthed the granddaddy of all cave paintings over in Borneo. We're talking wild cattle strutting out in vivid reddish-orange thanks to a splash of iron oxide. Tucked away in the Lubang Jerijisale cave, this bad boy is dated to a whopping 40,000 years old. That's right, back when Borneo was just another chunk of continental Asia. Now the scene's got 3 of these beefy beasts lined up like they're posing for a prehistoric photo shoot. But this cave is like a vintage art gallery with hand stencils, human figures, boats, you name it. Originally, these pigments were probably rocking a purple vibe, but have since morphed into that fiery red-orange we see today. Research nerds pin the start of this cave art extravaganza between 40,000 and 52,000 years ago, stretching all the way to the Ice Age around 20,000 years back. and the plot thickens with shifts to human sketches in later phases. Cultural evolution, or just new folks moving in? Who knows? 19. The Ice Age artists in caves. A team of researchers stumbled upon some ancient doodles dating back a whopping 35,000 years. They found animal sketches and 40,000-year-old handprints in a cave in Sulawesi, smack between Asia and Australia. Now, this isn't just child's play. Figurative art is a big deal in human history, popping up in both Southeast Asia and Europe around the same time. Initially, these old-school artists were all about drawing massive animals before they switched up their game to human figures. Despite humans trekking to Southeast Asia around 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, there's been zilch art from that era. Europe's got all that early art cred, but Southeast Asia? Nada. So, what gives? Maybe we just haven't found the art yet, or maybe our dating game is off. There's chatter about different migration waves, or maybe the art skills just traveled with humans over time. The weather might have even played a part, with good vibes from the climate, boosting the creative juices. 20. The Gobustan Petroglyphs. Out in Azerbaijan, there's this rock star of a spot called the Gobustan Petroglyphs, and it's not just any old site. It's a UNESCO heavyweight champion with over 6,000 ancient carvings dating back up to 40,000 years. These bad boys showcase everything from ancient boogie-down dance moves to hardcore hunting scenes, featuring all-stars like goats, horses, and the tough guy aurochs. Some adventure-seeking enthusiasts are buzzing about how a few of these carvings might just be showing off dinosaurs, stirring up a storm with claims of humans and dinos throwing it down together in prehistoric times. These images have a couple of wild figures that some call the Dino Squad. Most experts, though, are tossing cold water on that fire, pointing out these likely represent mythical creatures, not real dinos. They're all about keeping it real, emphasizing that these artworks reflect the beliefs and environment of the ancient folks who rocked Gobustan way before dinos could have crashed the party. 21. The Mysteries of Prehistoric Cave Burials. Back in 2013, some daredevil spelunkers were poking around the Rising Star Cave system just outside Johannesburg, South Africa, and bam! They stumble upon what's left of Homo naledi. Yeah, a whole new type of ancient human cousin, tiny-brained and short-armed. Enter Lee Berger, the rock star from Witwatersrand, who spearheads this wild dig, unearthing bones from at least 27 of these old-timers. By 2015, his squad dropped a bombshell in eLife, claiming these Homo naledi folks were dragging their dead deep into caves on purpose. 22. Australian Cave Art Shows. Nature and humans in harmony. Down under is brimming with old secrets, mate. There's this fresh find in Arnhem Land. Talk about ancient graffiti called the Maliwawa figures, splashed across 87 rock shelters. This stretch runs a whopping 130 kilometers, and these bad boys date back between 6,000 to 9,400 years. Not just any doodles, these. They're showcasing critters like macropods and bilbies hanging out with humans who look like they're floating. Only 42% of these figures are human, a stark drop from the older dynamic figures style, which was all about the people. 23. Algerian Tassili Najer Rock Art. The Tassili Najer Rock Art in Algeria is a 12,000-year-old gallery showcasing the wild Sahara when it was more garden than desert. Think giraffes, elephants, and antelopes chilling in a lush paradise, all captured in thousands of petroglyphs and cave paintings. Now, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But some folks out there think they've spotted dinosaurs among these ancient artworks. That's right, big scaly monsters that looked like they walked right out of a sci-fi flick. Cue the crazy theories about humans throwing down with dinosaurs in prehistoric times. Spoiler alert, those dinosaurs are probably just symbolic figures or artistic flair. Discovered in the 1930s by Henry Lote, this site really shines a spotlight on the myths, culture, and thriving wildlife of a long-gone Sahara. So, no, it's not a prehistoric Jurassic Park, but it is a vivid snapshot of an ecosystem that was teeming with life way before we showed up. 24. The Ica Stones of Peru. What if I told you the Ica Stones of Peru are legit proof that humans and dinosaurs were kicking it back in the day? Dr. Javier Cabrera Darquea snagged over 11,000 of these bad boys, showcasing humans hunting and even riding dinosaurs like they were in some prehistoric rodeo. These stones got everyone in a tizzy, thinking maybe our ancestors were dino whisperers. Now, these rocks were andesite, and they were popping up all over the Ica province. Dr. Cabrera was so pumped about his collection that he threw open the doors to a museum in 1996 to show off his stash. But the dude who first peddled these stones, Basilio Ushuya, fessed up to carving them himself with a dental drill to make a quick buck off tourists. He claimed it was all a big show to dodge the law, since peddling real-deal archaeological finds is a no-go in Peru. Still, Cabrera and his crew kept the faith, insisting some of these stones were the real McCoy, despite mainstream science giving them the side-eye for looking like something straight out of a cheesy old dino flick. 25. The Sirish of Babylon. Have you heard about the Sirish of Babylon, that enigmatic beastie plastered all over the famous Ishtar Gate? There's this wild theory floating around that this critter, also known as the Mushushu, was nothing short of a dinosaur chilling with humans back in the day. Imagine that. It's depicted like some dragon hybrid with a slim body, a whip-like tail, and bird of prey back legs, kind of like the iguanodon dinosaur. Now get this. German archaeologist Robert Koldewey, the brainy guy who dug up the Ishtar Gate around the early 1900s, was all in on this theory. He's convinced the Sirish wasn't just make-believe because it hung out in art with real animals like lions and bulls, suggesting it might have been a real deal, maybe even a leftover dino. But no dino bones have turned up to prove it, and most eggheads think the Sirish was just a mythical mascot for the god Marduk's muscle. That's all for today. I hope you found the discoveries about the ancient cave paintings in Siberia fascinating. What do you think? Could these paintings really suggest that humans and dinosaurs once coexisted? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, goodbye.